we heard from our federal funding partners, USDA, and now we are going to hear from some of our state funding partners. So Dave Henning, who was on the panel before, is going to talk a little bit more about PennVest and their resources that they have for water and wastewater funding, and specifically regional projects.
Just a couple things before I start the presentation, and I really appreciate Derek making available a copy of the PowerPoint. But what I also like to do too, just in case technology fails, I do always put together a little outline that reflects each of the slides in my presentation. My table's in the back corner here, just outside those double doors, and I would really recommend that you pick up at least these 3 pages. What I tried to put together was a really succinct summary of everything that involves a PennVest program. I will point out, and Ken made me aware of this, that it's never good to do things like late at night, but on the yellow sheet I have Ken's email address incorrect. But the good news is it's correct on the purple one and correct on the red one. So just a couple things for you. I also just wanted to let you know too that I kind of, like Tom did, I wanted to tailor this presentation to kind of reflect regionalization. But being true to the program, I did want to minimize the time on the first couple slides. So if you've never heard of PennVest before, we've been around for 32 years, started in 1988. Our project has eclipsed over $9 billion worth of infrastructure funding. The board has approved almost 4,000 projects. The majority of them, as you can see, are wastewater projects, drinking water. We fund all aspects of those kind of projects: tanks, treatment systems, pump stations, collection systems, distribution systems. We also fund stormwater project, and I got to be honest with you, that's probably where we're getting a lot of activity at right now. Those communities are dealing with MS4 issues. And we're also, and again, this is more concentrated in the Chesapeake Bay area, we are also doing a lot of non-point source projects, such as Ag BMPs, those things that help us comply with the Chesapeake Bay Initiative. We take applications quarterly. This is our current schedule, and you're probably saying, Dave, why would you put something up there that it ends at May 6th of 2020? That's because we're at the end of our funding cycle. So at our April 22nd board meeting, those dates will get updated. But here's the good news, guys. They pretty much keep the application cutoffs and the board meetings almost identical every year. So, you know, you might have to move a day up or a day back. So, again, we can help with drinking water, wastewater, stormwater, non-point source projects. But I think the most important thing to drive with this slide is that we can not only help public systems, but we can also help private systems. There is one program at the very bottom called On-Lot Systems. This is directly to assist private homeowners if they have any kind of on-lot issues, or if they need to connect to public sewer, or if they need to fix their laterals. The types of funding that PennVest has, and this is actually kind of a new slide. I've been doing a series of legislative meetings, and the one thing that I kind of picked out of all those meetings, when you have people with a short period of time, you really need to tell them what you have to offer. And so the reason why I like this slide is this really kind of outlines the programs that we have available. And the very top program is called Advanced Funding. And this program was created to help those systems out there that just didn't have either the general funds or the ability to borrow money to do feasibility studies, to do upfront, design engineering, things that you need to get projects ready so that you can get them implemented through construction. Our primary program is a construction funding program. Again, we work things a little bit different than what Tom's program does. They like to come in at the very beginning. Our preference is we like you to come into us whenever you're shovel ready. Again, we fund all aspects of the project, you know, the engineering, legal fees, permitting fees, interest expense, and construction. And on startup systems, we can actually cover the first 6 months of O&M. This is actually something new, and I got to tell you, if there's anybody here from Williamsport or anybody from Erie, as a result of your continual badgering of, hey guys, you know, we have these capital improvement plans, and the way you guys currently operate, it's too much of a pain in the neck to keep coming in for applications. Is there something you can do that can help us fund our capital improvement plans? Well, if you're from Williamsport or if you're from Erie, congratulations, we just actually rolled this out. The City Erie Water Authority was actually one of the first approved applications under the new Programmatic Financing program. So essentially what that does is that allows you to come into us for an application based on your approved capital improvement plan. You pick whatever projects you want to pick in that plan, and you sum up the total cost of those projects, and you submit an application to us. Like in Erie's case, they had 4 projects that they wanted to implement, and the estimated cost of those 4 projects is $32 million. The key to this program is that one of those projects has to be shovel ready. And they did have a project that was shovel ready, and that was a pump station project. So the board approved their application for $32 million. But what this allowed the City of Erie Water Authority to do is it gave them 3 years to design and get those other 3 remaining projects under construction. Now, the only pitfall with this program, and I haven't talked about this yet, is that when we look at these type of applications, they're a loan only. We don't do any rate analysis or consideration for any possibility of grant funding. The other thing that's coming soon in July, we're looking at implementing a small projects program. This would be projects that would serve small communities. I think the population was set at like 12,000 people or less, or 100 or 1,000 connections or less. And again, the reason for implementing this type of a project was to try to get money out to small communities. And one of the incentives with this particular program is that we can approve those applications without taking them to the board. Our goal is, once we get a complete application, that we can turn around and have money back to the community within 2 weeks.
Dave, I think we have a question over here.
Yes.
Before you leave that slide, on the programmatic financing, the multi-year, is there a cap on the amount that PennVest is willing to finance for that?
Well, there are programmatic, and when I say programmatic through the main PennVest program, there are programmatic financing limitations. For instance, to go above $20 million, your project would have to serve 4 or more municipalities. But quite honestly, that's part of the discussion that we have with these systems up front is, hey, City of Philadelphia, don't come into us for an $800 million project because we don't have that kind of money. But as funds become available, we might be able to allow them to maybe do a $50 or $60 million project.
Thanks.
Mm-hmm. And as I mentioned, we have our homeowner septic program. So this really kind of, in a nice way, kind of puts together all the programs that PennVest offers. We offer competitive rates. I was actually really pleased to see, Tom, your rates. Wow, I mean, they're almost at the same interest rates as what PennVest is. So, I mean, we're not
competing.
Right, we don't, but I mean, that's awesome. And again, our rates are based on the county's unemployment rate. It's an inverse function of the unemployment. So the higher your unemployment rate, the lower your interest rate would be. We're currently running between 1% and 2 1/8. And for most of the counties that are up in the northwestern part of the state, the cap rate right now is like 1% for the first 5 years and 1.743% for years 6 through 20. So I got to tell you, that's really competitive what you guys are offering, Tom and Mary. Funding determination is done. I don't want to say that the two agencies do things identical. We don't, but yet maybe we do. Any application that comes into PennVest, we automatically assume that we're going to fund it as all loan at the county cap rate. That gives us a rate projection for that particular project. Concurrently, we also run what's called a target rate. Depends on which project specialist you're talking to. Sometimes I call it an affordable rate. I've kind of gotten away from that language because when I tell a local official affordability, then that's what they convey back to their citizens, and that's never a good mix. So again, we project the target rate. That's based on the household median income, an early warning score that we get from the Department of Community and Economic Development, and also we inflate it based on the current rate of inflation. We compare those two rate projections. If the projected rate is below the target rate, then it's a really simple transaction for us. It's going to be all loan at the county cap rate. If it is one of those projects where it exceeds the target rate, then our first step is to reduce the interest rate to 1% for the term of the loan. We'll try to put in some grant money, like Tom said, in their program. We put that in the back end of the evaluation. And then if we don't have enough grant money to get that user rate down to the projected target rate, then we look at stretching out the term to 30 years. There's no way at any planning meeting I can ever guarantee anybody grant money, or that I can ever guarantee you to get you to your target or your affordable rate. But what we will do is we'll give you the best possible option, and we'll let the local officials decide if it's a funding offer that's implementable. The one thing that I will tell you is that our program's really good with working with other state and federal programs. If we're unable to get a projected user rate down to what the local officials think that it's implementable, often we can partner our money with, like, say, CDBG money, again, to make a project more affordable. This really hasn't come into play probably the last 10 years, but under our regulations, all project applications that come in are reviewed by PennVest and our partners. DEP, I got to tell you, without the work of Chad and some of his staff at my Williamsport DEP region, they help us prioritize projects based on public health, public safety, any compliance kind of issues. We're kicking around some discussions about consent orders and agreements. They help us with that. Our other partner, which is a silent partner, is the Department of Community and Economic Development. I think on one of Eric's projects that he had with Muncie Borough, I think, there was a big economic development opportunity with, I think it was Kellogg's.
There was a significant component from Kellogg's.
Yeah. So, and that was really what kind of carried that particular project. And then there's some things that we look at internally based upon the current administration's recommendations. But again, we try to emphasize priority to projects that serve existing population centers. Now, here's the regionalization component of my presentation. And I got 2 case studies. Our program, and I got to tell you, I've seen this actually help a lot of systems out there. We have in our program what's called the white knight scenario. And this white knight scenario can occur in 2 different ways. One of the ways, and I got to tell you, this started as early for me in my career back in 2005. I got a phone call from one of the gentlemen from the Fire Tire Water Association, which is in Clearfield County, and they were basically calling me up and saying, hey, Dave, look, I think back then the situation was DEP was unaware that they were a system. DEP found out they were a system. They had like an old milk cart or rail car that they used as a water storage tank. They had some really nasty issues with like low water pressures, high unaccounted for water loss. There were just a lot of things that were occurring. And as I started talking to these, the local association folks, then they began sharing with me, hey, look, everybody that's involved in the association, we're like 65, 70 years old. And this is getting really old to show up like on February 2nd at like 2 a.m. in the morning to go out and dig up and fix a water line leak. And we're not getting any volunteers from the community. And that's when we thought, hey, rather than maybe looking at, and again, this was a component of the project, but maybe rather than looking at your system, to continue operating under the current management structure, let's maybe think about how we might be able to partner with a nearby water system. And again, we reached out to the Clearfield Municipal Authority. John Williams is here from the authority, and actually it was your brother I worked with, Jeff, at the time. Or your uncle, okay. But Jeff was really receptive to the idea, and quite honestly, I think Jeff did the main driving of the regionalization effort here. But we were able to work together, and this is probably one of the quickest regionalization efforts I've ever experienced in my career with PennVest. But what we were able to do here is that if I wanted to do a transaction with the Fire Tire Water Association and then transferred that funding offer over to the Clearfield Municipal Authority, we would have incurred all kinds of additional engineering and legal fees. So instead, what we decided to do was, and Jeff was, he was adamant that he wanted to support the project, the Clearfield Municipal Authority became our applicant. So in order to incentivize the authority to become our applicant, we based our funding package solely on the impact of the Fire Tire Water Associations. And John, if I misspeak about this, please correct me, but Clearfield Municipal Authority, I think they have like 3,000 or 4,000 folks on their water system, but this little water association only had 47 residents and 3 businesses. They served about 120 people total. And so we were able to put our funding package together. And in this particular instance, under the White Knight scenario, we were able to fund the project with roughly a $500,000 loan and a $750,000 grant. The thing that I think is probably the best outcome in this particular scenario is that I think, John, these guys only pay roughly $5 more a month in their water rates than what the Clearfield Municipal Authority does. So this was a great cooperation between a small troubled system and a nearby large water authority. The other White Knight scenario that we have in our program is essentially existing systems extending into new service areas. And the case I wanted to bring to point was another project that I kind of did early in my career. And quite honestly, this one doesn't involve any grant money. But again, in this particular project, I was approached rather late in the project. I got a call from the Adams Township Municipal Authority, and they said, hey, look, we're looking at doing a water line extension that would go through the borough of Callery, and we wanted to loop the system so that it would connect a large industry that they had at the dead end of their water system. And so we met with the local officials. We decided that it was a cost-effective project to do. We had several meetings with Callery Borough, the Adams Township Water Authority. And this is a project, like so many others that we heard about today, that actually take a couple years to develop. But this was a project that did eventually get constructed. It impacted 147 residents in Callery Borough. As you can see, they had all kind of water quality issues. But more importantly, they had a high number of wells that were actually positive for total and fecal coliforms. In this particular case, we did the same type of evaluation, and the only benefit for us looking at financing the project based under the Callery Borough demographics was that instead of getting a loan at the cap rate, they got a reduced interest rate. And again, that was based on affordability. And if I understand this correctly, Adams Township Municipal Authority actually has uniform rates with Callery Borough.
Where's that located, Dave?
Butler County. I purposely selected one so nobody could challenge me on that.
Did Callery keep its local distribution system?
They had none. All they had were wells, and I failed to pull this out. What they were contemplating was doing their own water system. And they had actually a lot of people from Borough Council that were really adamant, hey, look, we want to do our own thing. And they were pretty close to implementing it. And I think what really changed that dynamics is Adams Township Municipal Authority says, hey, look, I'm going to treat you just like any other Adams Township customer. And that was really the thing that kind of sold them. But again, they had discussed this, I want to say, for maybe like a year or two before I actually got involved with the project. Tom, congratulations on you guys moving to the online application. I'm so glad to hear that you and Mary Beth probably spent a good part of your day doing trouble tickets. But no, all kidding aside.
It's getting better.
Good. All kidding aside, our whole entire process is all done online. Everything from the application processing, the settlement system, has been working awesome for probably the last 10 years. And we've just now released the second version of our funds disbursement system. So any of you engineers out there that use the funds disbursement 1.0, let me tell you, 2.0, you should be jumping out of your seats for that. It's much more user friendly. So, and some of the cool things with having these online systems is that you can put tools up there so that, you folks, if you can't sleep at night, there's different evaluation tools. You can go in and maybe pull up a potential funding package through PennVest. So some program updates just to kind of share with the group. In this sheet right now, we're going around the state. We're doing 16 meetings across the state, and it's talking about new program updates. I've been with PennVest, like I said before, 16 years, and probably in the last 5 or 6 years, we've implemented all kinds of new programs. But right now, probably the biggest thing, if you're a water system out there and you have lead lines, you definitely want to attend these sessions just to learn about this lead line replacement program. If you have any questions for me right now on it, I got to be honest with you. This stuff is still new. It's still evolving. It actually requires some amendments to our regulations, which we're in the process of trying to get through the general legislature right now. Our, like Mary Beth is the field person, I was the field person, and I tell people all the time, if you lived in the north central or northwestern part of the state, you lived in the prettiest part of Pennsylvania. And just recently, I accepted a new position with PennVest that actually now takes me out of the field, and I miss it. I miss, driving up like to Renova or heading up to like Cameron County. I can't remember those roads that go up through there, but I just miss it. But the thing I want to do right now is I want to introduce my replacements. Ken Anderson, he's going to be taking care of those counties served by the Meadville DEP region, and then Leslie Cote in the back, and she'll actually be working with those counties that fall under the Williamsport DEP region. So I'm glad that they're here, but I'm kind of sad because, once these guys are up and running, I won't get out in the field much. Is that what happened to you, Tom?
Oh, I've been doing this shit for about 6 years nowadays, so a little beyond it.
He's accepted his fate.
Well, the only other thing I have to leave you guys with is, again, our website. And it's really good. That's part of my new job now. If you have any problems with the website, shoot me an email. And again, it was so funny to hear somebody mention about, hey, Eric, I think you mentioned we took our Facebook stuff down because of all the negative publicity that we were getting. But that's something that some of our folks are really big on right now is Facebook. So that's it. I mean, it's really up to you if you folks have any questions. I mean, we're highly supportive of regionalization efforts. I think anybody that's worked with me in the past, you know that. We're involved. The thing that I want to leave with you folks right now is if you're working on a regional effort, please make sure that you involve Mary Beth, Ken, Leslie. Bring them into the project early, bring them into the project often, because things change in the programs that might benefit what you're trying to do. So,
Any questions for Dave? I have a quick question.
okay.
So on your slide about the feasibility and planning study funding, so you said that that's loan funding, or?
Well, yeah, and let me kind of explain that. I didn't want to get into the details a whole lot, but the advanced funding, again, this is really kind of structured. It's structured to be a 5-year loan term, but the expectations is nobody ever gets to year 5. What we want you to do is get the project designed, shovel ready, and then move to construction. At that point, we would then take the advanced funding we used to roll it in, but we would restructure it to mirror the construction financing.
And could that be used for a regional feasibility
Oh,
study?
absolutely.
Yeah.
The only thing that money can't be used for, that program can't be used for, is for Act 537 planning. But my understanding with some of the reg changes that we're looking at, that may change. Matt.
Dave, you had on your slide that new smaller project funding program that's coming out.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't hear, was there a date?
We're thinking like in July. I think everything's been approved by our board to do
Okay.
it, but there's some hesitancy to do it until after our next board meeting. So I've been kind of told emphatically, hold off until July.
All right.
Hey, and Matt, that'd actually be maybe a good program to partner with CDBG funds, because the maximum project amount is $1 million, but we'll provide up to $500,000.
So, well, you know who you need to talk with.
Right.
And of your on-lot loans, are those available for private wells or just septic?
Boy, that's like the missing piece of the puzzle with our program is the drinking water side. We're going to change the regs so that we can hopefully finance the service connection part of it. But yeah, right now there's nothing we can do for like redeveloping existing wells, right?
May you not have the PFAS problems that we are starting to have in Massachusetts.
Right.
And I will say that, USDA does have a program that can pay for private well replacements. It's 504. The household,
It's the private residence, yes.
yes, right. So, I mean, but there are like pretty strict population and income restrictions, but it does exist, and it's something that, you can share with folks as well on the well side. Any other questions? All right, great. Well, thank you, Dave.
Thank you all.